These are the first 3 steps before you even launch a business. So first is ideation, third is
how big is the skincare industry in India?
it is a huge market.
Right. I think $10 billion.
More than that actually.
I met someone who said that if I can't give this product to my family, I can't give it to the market also.
I spoke to each and every parent out there.
And how many people you called?
Over 100 parents.
Once your product is ready, how do you launch it into the market?
Work on your packaging, your
Hello everyone, welcome to another episode of Money Mint with Aditya. Today we have with us founder of Tikitoro, Prasanna ma'am. She has came all the way from Chennai to record this episode with us. And today we will be talking about how you can build a skincare brand in India doing crores in revenue, or even you can earn lakhs. So let's start with your background. Like what was your background? How did it help you to start Tikitoro?
Understood. Yeah. So I graduated as an engineer, computer science engineer.
Okay.
And
myself also a computer science graduate. Yeah.
I know. So
yeah.
Awesome. So nice to see a fellow engineer.
Yeah.
Of course, I graduated some 20 plus years ago.
right.
And after, I also did my post-graduation in marketing.
Okay.
But for most part, I was a homemaker. So for most of my adult life, I've been a homemaker.
Oh.
And after my son was born, I got certified as a parent educator because I was very, very passionate about parenting with connection, how to do, set limits with empathy, all those things. And so I did a course and then I loved it that I got certified, and I used to work for a non-profit. I volunteered in a non-profit about 4 years where I've worked with like hundreds of parents. I've conducted workshops, I've done courses. I've conducted courses and I've also written articles on parenting on behalf of my organization. So I've always been an advocate for children. And so Tikitoro happened to be, that an extension of that advocacy. So that's how it came to be.
Okay. So I think, was it difficult for you to, as you were a homemaker, right? Was it difficult, the transition from a homemaker to a, brand owner you were working? Because as a startup, you need to work like tens of hours, right? Daily.
Oh my God. It is so, I can't even, had I known it was this difficult, I wouldn't have started, but I'm so glad I didn't know it. I started at the age of 40.
Okay.
So I finished my 40th birthday and we were like, I was just thinking, and then, so yes, I did start late. I started at 40. I started with no business experience.
Late bloomer,
Totally late bloomer.
Right.
And I had to learn everything from scratch. Like, in fact, my first performance review, I had somebody help me write the performance, whatever questions I had to ask. And then the persons, I think I had it side by side and I did my review.
Right.
So every aspect of the business, I had to learn from scratch. But I'm very happy to say that now if you ask me, like most of it, I have my full on grasp on it. Like, operations, by marketing, everything, I have like 100% idea of what it is, how to go about it and what to do. So while it was difficult, having a learner's mindset, that is very important. So it's not about how difficult it is. It's like how much effort you're willing to put to go forward. And when the why is strong, when why you're doing it and the passion is there, you can achieve anything.
Right. What was your why? Because I have talked to a number of entrepreneurs and they always talk about the why.
Yes.
I want to understand what's your why.
So, as you know, I had spoken a lot about it. I went through 7 years of infertility treatment. Right. And I also come from a family of doctors. While I'm not a doctor myself, I come from a family of doctors. So I do have like an in-depth knowledge from talking to my family members. My one sister-in-law is a pediatrician, another one is an endocrinologist. My brothers are doctors, my parents are doctors, my extended families they are doctors. So we do have an in-depth understanding of endocrine disruption, what it can do. And having gone through infertility treatment, having gone through hormonal imbalances, what I came to realize was that it is not just the food you eat or the utensils you cook in. So why they say no plastics, no non-stick and all that. And we have moved to glass, we have moved to stainless steel. So those are easy to shift in the house. Even food you eat, you get a lot of organic food out there.
Right.
But when it comes to skincare, you can't keep using Upton and Shikakai and all that. It is not practical, especially for children. So I was worried about the safety of my son. I didn't want him to go through hormonal imbalances like I did. Like, while I cannot fully shield him, I wanted to do the best I can. The food I could take care of, the utensils, even clothes, even household cleaning supplies I could take care of. But what went on his skin, like, and hair, I couldn't find a safe alternative for a growing child.
Right.
So I wanted to be sure that my son has access, and children like my son have access to clean and safe healthcare and personal care products, basically. So skin and hair care products, I wanted them to have access, and that is how Tikitoro came to be.
Right. So that was your why, right?
And it is still my strong why. So that's why in fact, at Tikitoro, we don't launch products for the sake of launching.
Right.
We have limited products. We have 20 SKUs. But it is well thought through.
Right.
We do not launch it for commercial business. While commercial is involved and all that in running a business, for us, the mission is to provide clean and safe personal care products for children and kids and teens.
Right.
So we have put a lot of products on hold because the ingredients are not safe.
Okay.
And, some have been under development even before I launched, and I was like, no, I'm not satisfied with the safety of this ingredient, so it is going to be on hold.
Right.
So that way, that is our mission, to make sure our products are endocrine disruptors free and kids have access to that.
Right.
That we are very, very passionate about.
I met someone who said that if I can't give this product to my family, I can't give it to the market also.
Exactly. My son uses these.
Right.
And I would not compromise on my son's health.
Exactly.
And even if my son wasn't here, I wouldn't compromise, because I would rather not have a business than, compromise on the product.
Right. That's so good of you. And so how long did it take to launch your product? Because from what I can understand, it takes a long time to, finally get your product in the market.
Actually, it took me 18 months exactly, because I'm an avid note taker.
Right.
So the day I had this idea, I wrote it down, and it was 11th of June, 2020.
When you had the idea in your mind.
Yes.
Okay.
When I had my idea, so I spoke to some of my mentors and all that, and my first call that I had, like, this is the idea, this is what I think, and this is what it is. So I wrote down the date, and it was 11th June 2020, and 10th December 2021, we launched Tikitoro. Exactly 18 months.
18 months. Right.
But that 18 months was like really tough. Like a lot of work, lot of sleepless nights, everything went in, but it was worth it.
I would like to, dive deeper into this, like how you get an idea, how you launch a product, then product market fit. So I want to understand all these steps from you, because 18 months is a lot of time, right?
Yes.
You need to have a patience.
Oh yes, you need to have the patience. See, because there are 2-3 steps, 2-3 things that you have to consider. So one thing we were clear right from the start is that we will not white label our products.
Okay.
So there are 2 ways you can start a skincare.
Right.
So there are manufacturers out there who have ready-made formulations.
Okay.
And these ready-made formulations, they would tweak it so that it is not like every other formulation.
Right.
They will tweak it a little bit, or as is, you can buy the formulation and you can use it to manufacture your product. So that is the fastest way.
Right.
So when many of the brands launch products one after another, you can be more or less, it is kind of white labeled, or there has been they've taken a base formulation and added a few things and done it. While, it's not a blanket statement, let me put it out there, but then This is what mostly happens in skincare industry.
Right.
And so, but we were sure that we were going to formulate from scratch. So when I said this month, it took us 18 months is because we formulated from scratch. So when you ask about idea,
Right.
so there are so many things out there. I think for us to have an open mind, and once there are like 100 ideas that you get,
Right.
first to do a feasibility study. Is there actually a need in the market for your idea?
Right.
So in 2020, when I wrote this one down, so before that I got COVID
Right. Oh,
in the first wave of
okay.
COVID,
Okay.
and I was isolated.
Right.
So when I had like, okay, this is the thing, I started calling friends, friends of friends. Then I asked them to connect me to other friends.
Right.
Everyone who had children between the ages 4 to 16. I was like, older kids or teens, you just connect. So I spoke to so many parents.
Right.
So I would like keep one phone and then call the next. And during COVID, everybody was free.
Free. Right.
They were willing to talk, even they needed to.
Right. Right. I had some outside connections. Right.
And then I did that. So what we did was I spoke to each and every parent out there. So I had a list of questions.
Right.
On first one was, what were the products they were using? What were were they happy with the product?
Right.
What did they feel? Were they, what is the thing? And if there is a need of the product, would they want it? If it is made for this age group, all that. So I had, and if we were formulating the product, what would they look for in the product?
Right.
So it was an in-depth
And
questionnaire.
how many people you called? Because I think that is very important.
Yeah, I've actually lost count. It was like over 100 parents.
Wow.
Because I was isolated, right? I had nothing to do. And how much of TV can you watch?
Exactly.
So I was like, okay, let me call. And everybody was like available. They were all like, okay, at home.
Right.
So, and it was that during full lockdown. And we were all scared. We didn't know what to do. We were okay to talk on the phone.
Right.
So, from Salem, Bellary, Mysore, Bangalore,
Okay, from all these
Hyderabad, Delhi, Kolkata, Bombay, everywhere. You name it, I would have spoken to people across India.
Wow.
And because it was not just whom I knew. I was like, do you have friends with kids
okay.
in this age group?
Okay.
Please connect me to them.
Right.
So I'll message them. They'll be like, okay. Then I'll call them.
Right.
Message, call, this one. So I spoke to so many parents. And I took down the data. And when I spoke to the parents, what I realized was whatever they were using then, they were not happy with it.
Right.
But they were using those products because they had no other alternative.
Alternatives. Right.
And I got a lot of insights in that. So first I thought I would do a product which is like, say 5 to 12 years old or 4 to 12, like for older kids.
Right. Right.
Then what I realized was if you have only that range,
Right.
but then once kids hit that 10, 11 and all that, they go into that pre-puberty stage.
Right.
And when you go into the pre-puberty stage, you need products that are different because that's when you start sweat, body odor, acne, all that. Because I'm seeing that in my son who just turned 11.
Right.
And so you need products which are separate for them, meant for them.
Right.
And you cannot have products for kids products. You can't have a blanket one from say 5 to 12 or 5 to 14 or something like that. It has to be made for kids. It has to be made for teens and they need separate products.
Right.
So I got that insight. Then I got to see that parents were like, oh, it is not like we want 100%. While we want 100% safe, the product has to be effective.
Right.
So we will not compromise on efficacy based on just safety. Right. So they needed it to be safe and effective. Then they wanted this and that and this and that. So every single aspect, right from the touch, feel, the smell, every aspect I questioned the parents.
Right.
I got all the details and then collated it and I gave it to my formulators.
Okay.
And then what we did was we started doing the formulations and I had this focus group. Again, parents and kids who were, ready to look at it, ready to give and these parents whom I spoke to and I had given it to, they are very discerning customers because they get products, whether in India or abroad, and they are very, very particular about it. So I knew if I gave them some bad product, they would like come back and throw it on my face. So I gave it to them. I gave them those products and they would give me feedback. And I have the cutest voice notes and messages of their, kids coming back and saying, oh, auntie, this is good. Auntie, this is sticky. Auntie, this is okay. But this is the thing.
Right.
And the parents also giving their comments and feedback. So we collated. So it went back and forth, back and forth, back and forth till we finished the formulation.
So first, I would cut you off. Sorry. First step was ideation.
First is ideation.
Second is product market fit or feedback, you can say.
So second one would be to see, is there, I wouldn't say product market fit. Is there a need in the market?
Need in the market.
Market need.
Market need.
First is ideation. Second is market need. You can have a fantastic idea. If you don't have market need, then it's of no use.
No use, right.
So that is the second one. Third is, no matter what you do, you might have fantastic, marketing. You can have the thing. You can get your customers to buy it the first time.
Right.
But would they come back?
Exactly.
So you have to have a good product.
Right.
There is no compromise on the product. So that's why we made sure that we formulated it in-house.
Right.
We made sure we had a focus group. We still have that focus group of parents and kids whom we reach out to. So when we launched our products, each of our products, we have never had to take them back. We've never had to tweak them because we made sure they were really good and perfect before we even launched. So making sure you have an awesome product. So these are the first 3 steps before you even launch a business.
Right. You need to make sure these are absolutely
exactly.
You have cracked these 3 steps, then you can launch your product. Right. And how did you ensure that the products you were building were very safe and effective?
Yeah.
I mean, that is a very big important question, because if the product is not safe,
Correct.
it can lead to misaligned. Your brand can be misaligned.
Correct. 100%. See, and there are so many brands out there which, everybody, it's become a slogan. Oh, we are the safe and clean. Safe and clean has become a slogan.
Right.
So I just put myself, I'm my own customer.
Right.
So I said, as a customer, what would I look for in a product? Everybody calls it safe and clean. Okay, can I get an international certification?
Okay.
Because that international certification means, like we have from Safe Cosmetics Australia.
Right.
And there are few bodies around the globe which certify your products.
Right.
So they have a list of ingredients that you can use, you cannot use.
Okay.
So those ingredients, what they say you cannot use, you cannot use.
Right.
Because you do give your formulations to them.
Okay.
And they would ask percentages that you use of your ingredients, and they see if it is truly safe or not. And if you have anything more, then you wouldn't get the certification. So we got it internationally certified because so that you don't have to trust my word.
Exactly.
Because I wouldn't trust some random brand.
Right.
But then you can trust a third-party company which is certifying you.
Right.
So that is why we got our international certifications. And we also, so when we formulated the product itself, we looked at SCA, we looked at EWG.org, we looked at all the list of ingredients, and we said, okay, these many ingredients you cannot use in the formulation at all because they are not safe. And these are the safe ingredients that you can use. Right. So my poor formulators had to restricted. It was like, doing with like one arm tied and you're blindfolded and you're like have to. So they had to work with that. So when we chose the ingredients itself, we made sure they were really safe and we worked with it. And we also, what we did is to prove the efficacy. We get our claims verified by a third-party lab.
Okay, you also get your claims verified.
Claims verified.
Okay.
So when someone calls their anti-dandruff, when they say anti-acne, when they say this or that.
Vegan free and...
so everything. So our claims, we give it to a third-party lab. We pay them, and these are all expensive.
Right.
So, but we want to make sure. So if any customer out there asks us, you're saying anti-dandruff, show me the claim. I have a study to prove that it works.
Right.
My shampoo and serum works. If I'm saying anti-acne, then the 3 products together, that works. And I have a study to prove that. Not many brands do that.
Exactly. Because it's, I think, costly for them.
It is expensive. Right. They just call it anti-dandruff, anti-acne, this one, they might have a thing. But do they get their claims verified? When they say these are certified, are you truly certified? Show me the certification. Show me the claim verification documentation. So that kind of helps make sure that your products are safe.
Right. And I mean, I wanted to understand that once your product is ready, how do you launch it into the market? I think because that's also a very difficult part.
Yes.
Building a product is one thing, then launching a product is another thing.
Yes. So one thing is, of course, once the product is ready, you should also get FDA approval.
Okay.
So, and now that I'm in the industry and when I see brands say, oh, we are FDA approved, you have to be FDA approved.
Okay.
All cosmetic brands are FDA approved.
Okay.
So that's not like a special chapa. It is the thing. If you're not FDA approved, then you're like made at home and, where you have this. There are some boutique brands which do that, but the more brands which are out there into the thing, all have to be FDA approved. So you have to get your FDA approval in process. When you say GMP facility, you have to make sure your manufacturers are GMP certified to get the thing. Only then the quality of the product. So all this is there. Once the product is ready, make sure your packaging, work on your packaging, your branding, your name, logo. Everything has to be ready.
Perfect,
So once you have all that, then is when you go into marketing your website. Which platform are you launching
That's
on?
my next question actually.
Okay.
Yeah. So, I mean, does D2C work best, or you need to first go to Amazon, Flipkart websites? I mean, what works best? Because I think as a young entrepreneur, we can't launch on both the platforms simultaneously, right?
Yeah.
We need to choose one for first. After 4-6 months, I can think of launching it on other platforms. But if you have to say that this is the best, what would be your
I would always
insights?
say have your website.
Okay.
Whether you are pushing your marketing dollars into your website, that is another question. But as a brand, have a website.
Okay.
Because when people come and even check you in Amazon, they might even look it up in website. So there are, like, even I do that. I go to a new brand's website. I look at their website. I get all the details. And then I might go on Amazon and buy.
Basically, you get the story from their website.
Yes.
And then you think like, okay, now I am confident I would buy or not, I would decide.
Yes.
Okay.
But have your website there. And now you have a lot of options with Shopify and different things. You can build a good website. Have a basic website, because that does add to the credibility. You can add your story. You can tell a lot more through your website than you can through a marketplace. And then right now, of the marketplaces, yes, Amazon is a big player. Then depending on the category, you have Nykaa, you have Myntra, Tira,
Flipkart,
everyone.
etc.
So that is where it is. But you have to be on Amazon for sure.
Right.
And then depending
platforms.
on which one, maybe Nykaa, maybe, Myntra, Tira, whatever you're able to get on, but get there.
Right. Why Tikitoro, the name?
We went through 500 names.
500 names, oh my God.
Because one thing we were very sure when we started was that we wanted the name to be country agnostic.
Okay.
That means it shouldn't be associated to any single country, single. So before I started itself, I saw Tikitoro as a global brand.
Okay.
So that was my vision for
It has a sound of that, right?
Yes.
Tikitoro.
So yeah, exactly. So we made sure that we wanted anyone in any country should like the name.
Right.
So that was one thing. And it has to be childlike. It should be fun, easy to pronounce.
Right.
So all that, and we went through 500 names, and our legal team kept rejecting. Then we came down to about 5 names. And as I did, my focus group were there. So I gave it to the kids. I said, this is a brand for you. Just choose the name that you want. The kids unanimously chose Tikitoro. And Tikitoro doesn't have any meaning to it, as a single word. So what we did was to just make it fun so that it doesn't have any baggage. But if you break Tiki and break Toro, that is like separate thing. Tiki means first, Toro is bull. So we are very bullish, and we are like the first. We wanted to be that first personal care for children as they grow into adulthood. Yeah.
And who came up with this name? I mean, did you came up, or somebody close to you came
So
up with
we
this
were
name?
going through. So we did like this group workshop with whomever. I mean, with my even my son was part of the thing. So we were thinking, and we just kept throwing the names around, and then they were like, somebody said Tikitoro. I was like, okay, and then we had some more names.
Okay. That all. This is a very nice story. Okay, moving on to the next part. I mean, a lot of people are watching this. So For them, I would want to discuss with you how to build a skincare brand in India, which can do, I mean, a very good revenue, right?
Yeah.
So let's get on to that part.
Sure.
And first of all, how big is the skincare industry in India, according to your estimates?
Skincare industry is a huge market.
Right.
It's like several billion
Yeah,
dollars.
it's I
Like
think
the
$10
thing-
billion dollars.
more than that actually.
Yeah,
They're more than that, and I do have studies, and this one which shows in in the next few years how much it is going to be and all that. So it is a huge market.
Right.
And it has a lot of potential.
Right.
And we are just starting now.
Right. But do you think there are a lot of brands in India already in skincare? For example, there is Plum, Forest Essentials. I mean, there are very, very
Yes.
big names in the industry.
See, there are a lot of big names, and there are a lot of new players coming in.
Right.
And when you see that, you know that even with everybody out there, there is still market for
Small
the
brands.
the brands coming. You see minimalist,
Right.
where you thought like, they are there for Forest Essentials, Plum, like to quote what you were saying, and even the other bigger players.
Right.
Minimalist came and now they exited
3,000
with
crores.
3,000 crores.
Right.
So there is a market. Only thing is you have to be smart about choosing your niche
Right.
and seeing what you cannot be a Me Too brand.
Right.
There has to be some differentiation, because only then can you stand to get noticed, and you can add value and have that customer base. If you're going to just be a Me Too brand, then that is a recipe for disaster.
I think I met with an investor and he also said the same thing, that there should be an X factor to your brand or whatever
Exactly.
you are building, right? So I think we are talking about that X factor.
Correct. See, for us at Tikitoro, what we also did is baby care industry is crowded.
Right.
That's a red ocean. Adult industry is another red ocean.
Right.
But this right in between,
Right.
it's the blue ocean that we are the category creators.
Creator, right.
So we are the first brand to bring in specially formulated for this particular age group. Now there are a lot more brands which have come up and which are coming up, which is great. That is creating an awareness for category. But so you have to see what problem you're solving. So rather than looking at starting a skincare business for the sake of starting based on
Data of
few success stories, because there are a lot of, for every success story there are like
99 failures. for
99
every one
failures.
Success story. Yeah.
So be sure of what problem you looking to solve. That has to be the goal. It's not to start a skincare, but by starting the skincare, what are you looking to solve?
What is your why?
What is your why? Going back to why.
Right.
So what is your why? And if you're clear on that why, then go ahead and start a skincare. But if you're not, just for sake of starting based on these glamour thing which is getting projected, don't.
Right.
Yeah.
As you have been in the industry for past 4 years, what are the new trends you are seeing in the industry, and where can somebody who is just watching this can build the next big thing?
Yeah, see, there are actually quite a few interesting trends that are coming out there. Like, just some time back, and I mean, it's still picking up, and I see a lot more brands doing this. It's about probiotic, prebiotic skincare.
Right.
Then you have neurocosmetics. That is a new thing which is coming, like ashwagandha based and all that, because there is a lot of stress around. So people are looking at how they can incorporate these, particular ingredients into the skincare to help deal with that stress. Then there are personalized skincare, AI based, where you look at the skin, how are you able to do. So there are very, very interesting trends out there. See what resonates with you. Do the market research. See what fits. Is there a need? Is it scalable? One thing is that while there might be a need, is it scalable? How can you scale? Is that a thing? So having that plan in place is very, very important.
Right. Do you think that having an idea or creating an idea is a different thing? Because sometimes we see like these success stories, humongous success stories, and we think like, let's do a startup. Then we'll find out a problem, like, oh, I have this problem. So is it creating a problem or having a problem? What's the difference?
See, like you have these great startups, Apple, for example,
Right.
which said, you don't even know what you want.
Right. Right.
Yeah. So I am telling you what you want.
Exactly.
And they are like massively successful. Like, can you be an Apple? Great.
Right.
If you're able to create, like find a need before that is, before even I know, like
Exactly.
you're a customer, but I know what you'll want in the
In
future.
the future. Right.
Great if you're able to do that.
Right.
Or you feel, okay, this is something which has gone unsolved, like what we have done.
Right.
And the thing, like, why haven't anyone looked at this market and solved for this? So there is no right or wrong answer. It is, what are you looking to solve
Right.
is the answer.
Right. And how important is passion? People keep talking about like you should be passionate about what you're doing. So
Yeah.
what's your advice in this passion scenario?
Entrepreneurship is not glamorous.
Right.
Whatever you see glamour, people looking at it, even the sharks on Shark Tank.
Right.
You look at them and you're like, wow, they are entrepreneurs and they think
Right.
that is just a small percentage, or like a drop, like that one grain of sand in the desert.
Right.
That is what it is.
Right.
But behind the scenes, every single person, it is to the grind. It is not thing. It is so stressful. You cry, you have sleepless nights, it is tough.
Tough. Right.
But if you have to go through that tough, you have to have passion.
Exactly.
So every single shark out there, every single successful entrepreneur out there
Right.
is able to go through all that stress and build a successful brand because of that passion.
Right.
Again, it goes back to why.
Why? Because if you have a very strong reason for doing
Exactly.
that, you will, push through, I think.
Exactly. But because several times you will ask, is it worth it?
Is it further?
So you should have an answer to, is it worth it?
Right.
Because
You feel like quitting. Like it's very difficult.
Yes, because my son would be crying even now to come to Delhi. He was like, morning he woke up and hugged me and cried saying, why are you going?
Right.
And I'm like, I felt so guilty. Then, you question and then you remind yourself and then you do it. So you have to be passionate about it.
Beautifully answered. Okay. How much investment is needed if I'm going to start a skincare brand? What's your idea behind it?
Yeah. So I think here is where you need to have a clear business plan.
Right.
How much do you think you can put aside? If you're able to put aside X,
Right.
what are you going to use it for? And whatever you're trying to put aside, whatever you think you need for the business, I would say double it and keep it aside.
Right.
Because you never know what it is. And at what point are you looking at raising bringing in investors? How are you looking at raising funds? At what scale do you want to raise?
Right.
Because here, I would say, there are a lot of brands which have, with an idea, they have reached out to an investor and raised funds.
Right.
Some brands have started, had a product market fit, like initial thing and raised.
Right.
We wanted to hit a certain revenue before we raised.
Right.
And so it depends on what your appetite is. Appetite for growth, risk, how much you want to liquidate, all that aspect. So you have to have clarity on that. And make sure that when you start a brand, put aside that money and make sure that you never run out of your working capital.
Right.
Because you can have a brand, product market fit, all that. But then if you think that, then if you're running out of your working capital, then that's it. That is
for you.
that is like, that'll kill the brand.
Right.
So making sure you have an entire business plan, everything in place when you start a business is very important.
Right. Do you think we should give more time in creating a brand name, logos, website, or we can start with version 1.0 and then we can keep iterating and improving that? What's your take on that?
Website version 1.0, definitely.
Okay.
Have some basics, have something, but make sure it looks decent.
Right.
And that you start with. Logo also you can improve on.
Right.
Brand name, difficult to change.
Right.
Because once you get the traction,
Right.
this one. So maybe brand name and logo, just work on it, but don't aim for perfection.
Right.
I think as an entrepreneur, you should let go of that concept notion of perfection, because that is just opposite of progress.
Exactly.
Good enough is good enough. This is okay. Go ahead. Launch.
Launch, right.
Don't keep, harboring, at it. Then you'll never launch.
Right.
Then you'll get into analysis paralysis.
Exactly.
So I would say just go ahead and launch it, but make sure it has a decent name, decent thing. Just look at the name in other languages also, so that it doesn't have a
Trademark issue, I think, in the future.
one is trademark issue, one is the meaning. It might have another meaning in different language. Just make sure that it doesn't. You never know where your brand goes, and if it becomes global and you go into another market and it has a different meaning, then you are. But at least basic. But don't get into analysis paralysis.
Right.
Good enough. Start.
Exactly. I think that's how it should be.
Yes.
And let's say I want to create a product in skincare. What's the next step? For example, you have already told me it's product formulation, but how do I go about that?
So either you're the formulator,
Right.
or there are a lot of formulators out there.
Okay.
I would say talk to people, talk to different people. Understand if what they are doing. First, have clarity on what you want to build.
Right.
Because when I started Tikitoro and when I met my formulators and started working with them, I was very clear on what I wanted and what I didn't want.
Right.
Our North Star was it has to be the safest. No endocrine disruptors.
Right.
It has to be effective. So these were our two tracks.
Right.
That we were the train has to run on this one. There is no change. And so based on that, even in our everything, it is that. First start off with, it shouldn't have all this. It should have all this.
Right.
And this is how effective it should be.
Right.
And then we started. So be very clear on what you want from the product.
Right.
Reach out to formulators, and see if their values, your values, their capabilities are all aligned. Do some proper research.
Right.
Because there are people who can take you for a ride also. So just be careful, do research, talk to 2-3 people, figure it out. There are a lot of expos out there, ingredients and cosmetic expos. Attend it, see ingredient manufacturers, see what it is, get an idea, feel of the, of the field, of the industry, and then start.
What's the minimum quantity I can start with? Because I think a lot of people watching this would definitely have this question. What's the minimum quantity I can, go for product formulation, or I can go for manufacturing also for third party? So any idea behind that?
No, there are actually nowadays there are manufacturers who have started with, who are willing to manufacture in your pilot scale.
Pilot scale, okay.
So 10 kgs, 20 kgs, 30 kgs, 50 kgs, whatever.
Right. I think that's what startup wants, right?
Yeah.
You can't go for a very big scale in the beginning.
Yeah. So you will have to, but again, find who's the right manufacturer, do your homework.
Right.
See what it is. Because those are expensive. When you do it at a pilot scale, you are spending a lot more money. See what it is.
Right.
And then take a call.
I'm coming to the marketing part, because as you said, it's very important in the beginning, right? So I want to give a good amount of time into marketing.
You should be knowledgeable, or get somebody who is knowledgeable on board. Work with them. And, and then get that going. Because it is a trial and error.
Okay.
You do work, you see what works, you need to know the analytics, you need to know the data, you need to know everything.
Right.
Work on it. And have a budget. Work with the budget.
Right.
Marketing budget, because it is easy, it is like an endless pit, bottomless pit.
Bottomless pit, right.
So if you keep throwing money, it'll just go and go and go.
Right.
So set aside a budget every month, what you are going to do with your marketing, and split it channel wise. How much are you going to put in Meta? How much are you putting in Google? How much are you putting in each marketplace? What it is? What is that? So you need to have an idea of all that.
Right. And we did do this because we need to experiment what will work for us, right?
Yes.
That is necessary.
Yeah, it is necessary. You need to see. It is also like meta and all that. You can machine learning is there. You see what it is. You see what ads work for you.
Right.
What is the trend? So you'll have to get an idea of everything,
Right.
and then see. But work with tighter budgets because it is, as I told you, bottomless pit.
Right. What you said is very important because I met somebody who said Pinterest ads are working best for them.
Oh,
They were
fantastic!
generating very
Yeah.
good sales from Pinterest ads.
Yes.
So I think again, it's very important
See,
that you
yes.
experiment.
Yes.
Like, because what is working for you doesn't mean that it will work for me, right?
Exactly.
I need to test it myself. Like, is it right fit for my product?
Yeah.
So I think that is important.
Yeah.
I think one thing I would like to take your advice on, like how to go making your ad or ad copy, because I have some bad experience with ads, so that's why I'm asking.
That is very tough.
Right.
I mean, it is easy and tough to answer. So
Right.
even if you're shooting on a mobile phone,
Right.
a smartphone,
Right.
the quality has to be good.
Okay.
So that is what it is. What are you trying to convey?
Right.
I would say whatever you start, start from a place of put yourself as the consumer.
Right.
That's the best place to start. If you are a consumer,
Right.
separate yourself from the brand. If you are the consumer,
Right.
would you be happy looking at this ad?
Right. Yeah.
Would you be happy? Because as a brand owner, that is your baby.
You are happy with it.
You're happy. As a brand owner, I'll be like, I'll tell this, this, that, and you're like, at it. I need to tell this, I need to tell, and you will be like 100 points. I think this point is important. Then what about this point? No, but I need to add this. Oh, if this is not there, then people will not buy. And you'll end up adding so much of information. But if you're seeing from the customer side, when customer sees, it's like, it is information heavy and they just,
Right.
they don't even go. So put yourself as a customer, as your customer,
Right.
and see, would you be interested in this ad?
Right.
I think that is the first place to start.
Right.
And separate yourself from the brand there so that you can call out your BS and say, no, this is not working. I will not watch it as a brand.
Right.
And then go forward.
Right. In the start, you said that you need to keep aside your funds for marketing also. So how much should it be? Like 50-50, we can put 50% for production, formulation and all that, and 50% for the marketing. Or what's the, division of funds?
See, production, your formulation,
Right.
formulation especially is like a one-time cost.
Right.
Production is an ongoing cost. So your costs, all that you'll have to make sure it is of a certain percentage,
Right.
as low as possible.
Right. Obviously.
See what works,
Right.
because your marketing will take up a lot.
Right.
30%, 40%
Right.
of your thing will go into marketing.
Right.
Sometimes 50% till your ROAS improves.
Right. Return
It
on
is going
ad
to
spend for the
return
audience.
on ad spends. Yes, ROAS, return on ad spends improves.
Right.
It will keep sucking and sucking and sucking you dry.
Okay, so what problems do new skincare brands face? Because you already, launched in 2021, so I wanted to understand that.
Do all the testings before you launch the product, because there might be microbial contamination.
Right.
There might be other, even the environmental
Right.
effects. Have you, you created it in certain temperature, and for the thing, does it separate when it is too hot?
Right.
Does it solidify when it is too cold? Whatever. So that product, when you're doing, get all the testing, the basic, the parameters, your stability tests, all that right. Because stability is a problem, contamination is a problem, where the facility, microbial within the thing, your ingredients and all
it
that.
takes time, right?
So
you
where
need to
the
test
quality,
everything.
the storage, everything. So you have to basically get all those. These are basics like people don't think about, but then you will have to get those right.
Right.
And dermatological testing,
Okay.
very important. Like products, I mean, people do put dermatologically tested.
Right.
Are you really getting dermatologically tested? Do you have the certificates? Have you done proper, have you given it to a proper verified lab? get it tested.
Right.
Because the worst thing that can actually kill the brand is when the product has some allergic reaction, scares the thing, and it doesn't work for the thing. It causes harm than good. If it doesn't work, it is fine.
Right.
Even if it is ineffective, it is fine.
Right.
It should not cause any harm.
Right.
So that is very, very important
I think
in the product level.
exactly. I think in food and skincare industry, it is very important that the product should not harm the customer.
Exactly. Even if it doesn't deliver what it promises, that is different.
Right.
But make sure it doesn't harm the customer.
Right. What's the best thing that have worked for you as from marketing perspective?
So we've had a lot of our users
Right.
give their love.
Exactly. I checked your Instagram.
Yeah.
So many reviews by
Yes.
the kids, by the teens, their parents. I mean,
Yes.
600 posts, and I think a lot of them are reviews.
Yes. So those are genuine reviews.
Right.
That is the customer love. That shows, I mean, that validates the effort we have put into our formulation.
Right.
That we made sure our products are truly good and genuine and safe, and it works for the kids and teens.
Right.
So those genuine reviews, the genuine love that you get from the customers,
Right.
nothing to beat that.
Right. That's the best thing that have worked.
That is the best thing. That is like, I just love my Tiki tribe, my community. I love my customers. I mean, it is like a genuine love that I have for them, and they are, I mean, they show that love to us also.
Right.
Yeah.
I checked your first Instagram post when you launched your brand.
Yeah.
It was a PDF. Oh, I think it was on LinkedIn. Sorry,
Huh.
it was a PDF where you talked why you have launched it, the benefits of the product, the certifications.
Yeah.
It was beautifully done. So, any backstory behind it?
Yeah. So,
I mean, because before that you were not active on LinkedIn. I think.
okay, I come from a generation
Right.
before social media.
Right. Right. I understand.
So it is very hard for me. So as I told you, I started, I started the brand, I started working at 40, and I'm a very private person when it comes to that. Like one-on-one, I'm an open book.
Right.
To when people meet and all that, I have nothing. I'm like very thing, but then just putting myself out there, I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
what do I do?
Also on Instagram, you were not making videos, right? Earlier, but from past, I think 1 year, you are very active. You are making videos, talking to the people, right?
My team now, they are almost having like a gun to my head, like,
Right.
do it.
You need to make videos,
You
right?
need to make videos. What are you doing? You might be an oldie.
Right.
But this is what needs to be done for your brand. I'm like, okay.
Right.
Yes, sir. Yes, I'm doing it. So, yes, so I am not a social media person.
Right.
As you can see from my personal page, also I have some 100 posts since the inception of Instagram.
Right.
So that is me.
Ah.
But I also understand as a founder, talking about the product. I'm as you can see, I'm like so passionate and so into the brand.
Right.
And it is also, to talk to people is also important.
Right.
Because I'm also learning, coming out of that thing. And another reason why I have become active now than I was before is that it's also my bandwidth. This is what, when you asked me initially,
Right.
what was difficult? Everything about business was difficult. I had to learn everything from scratch. So as a homemaker, I mean, delegation, multitasking, everything I learned as a homemaker. 24 hours, that working. As a homemaker, failure is not an option.
Right.
So all those values are inbuilt in me because for most of my adult life, I've been a homemaker. I've been a mom.
Right.
So even at workplace, I'm like a mom.
Right.
If people say something, I'm like, I know the truth.
Right.
So people cannot, it's like I'm me talking to my son because all my millennial team members. So it was difficult for me then. But what I've also realized is that as I learned the basics of business, as I learned the operations, as I learned my marketing, as I learned my finance, as I learned new product development, as my competence improved in those, and those are the foundation of a business.
Exactly.
And now I have a lot more bandwidth to actually put myself out there,
Right,
and
right.
I'm also a lot more comfortable
Right.
putting myself out there.
I understand. What are your future plans for Tikitoro as a brand?
Actually, future, we are very, very excited
Okay.
when you're talking. So we have hit our EBITDA break even.
Okay.
We have hit our EBITDA positive, like month-wise.
Month-wise.
Which is a
that's good to
start.
know. Yeah,
That is
that's
the
good to know.
start.
Yeah.
So I'm very, very excited about it. I'm like, yes, I see light at the end of the tunnel.
Right.
So, so now for us, the North Star is to look at profitability and growing sustainably.
Right.
So while, because otherwise there is immense pressure on if you're keeping on burning the money. So now that we have hit EBITDA positive month-wise, my thing is to becoming PAT positive. So that is what we are aiming towards in FY26.
Right.
New products, new launches, new, growth, hitting that 100 crore ARR shortly in few years. And we also have our international trademarks in place already.
Okay.
So after us, of course, that we are looking at when to correctly launch in international markets. So that is also there. So I mean, it's really exciting. As you
Yeah,
can see,
I can see. Yeah, I can see that. That's good to know. That's good to know. So thank you so much for doing this. It
My
was a
pleasure.
pleasure talking to you.
Likewise.
And I learned so much from you, and I hope audience does the same. Thank you,
Yeah.
ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I enjoyed it too. I
Same
hope
here.
you guys enjoy it.